Well, good afternoon, my dear viewer. As you can see, I have my Tim Hortons coffee and my box of delicious and not nutritious, but quite pernicious Timbit donut balls. You may be wondering what strange and exotic planet I've landed on this time. However, fret not, for this is simply Grouse Mountain 10. So yeah, we're on the Grouse grind here. It's approximately 2,300 and some goddamn number of steps like that. A lot of them are actually really steps like this. This kid over here in front of us, he's my new hero. Just because he's practically only a little tyke of 4 or 5 years old, and he's trooping up like a corporal in the US Army, or let's say the armed services, so as not to be offensive to anybody, especially this guy. You're going to be on YouTube, sorry. So, yeah, getting back to the whole concept of, he said you're going to be on YouTube, and I'm sorry, because I know that Canadians value their privacy more than they value their very lives. Anyhow, sorry guys, I hope you don't mind, right? Great. So, yeah, there are three roots of religion. And my brother and my little, what would I call him? I'd have to call him my nephew. My brother and my nephew, let me show you where they are, dear viewer, before I continue this manic tirade. There they go, right up there. So there's Bai, and then I guess Sammy's in front of him. So we had the option of doing different things today, and my whole thing was, well, listen, if we're out here, we might as well do something worthwhile and something that is going to give us, you know, some outdoor pleasure as well as a great experience. Not just like driving around in the damn car all day and calling it a good time. A car is basically a box. I was just explaining this to someone today. It's like you wake up inside of a box, which is your bed, right? And then, hold on, I feel the need to adjust my cap. Alright, so you wake up inside of a box, dear viewer, right? And then you move around inside of your house, which is a box. Then you meet more people babbling inanities and disrupting the sound on your track. But don't worry, they're just Vancouverites. They're usually harmless. Hey guys. And they seem to be pulling nits out of each other's hair. That's just fine. Alright guys, you want to wave for the camera? How you feeling so far, Sam?
Tired.
Alright, I'll meet you up the trail. I just got to finish talking about something here. So basically, you wake up in a box, which is your bed. You move around inside of another box, which is your house. Then you get inside of a box, which is your car. You go to another box, which is your office building. If you're lucky, you sit in an office, which is a big box. For the most part, you sit in a small box, which is your cubicle. Then you're staring at a box all day, and you're typing on a keyboard, which is made up of a bunch of little cubes, aka boxes. And then you come back home, and if you're lucky, you get to veg out in front of the TV for 2 hours, and you call that a good day. It's called being boxed in. Now, on the other hand, if you come and do something like this, you actually get out. Like, forget thinking outside the freaking box, folks. How about being outside the box? How about get outside, meet people, get in trouble, like give the police a finger or something like that, or spit at someone. I mean, of course I'm transgressing the bounds, especially here in Canada. You're not going to do any of those things, but at the same time, why don't you leave the safe confines of your office and your car and all these other boxes, your TV and your cubicle and your computer screen, and come out and experience the vast and great panorama of the unknown, which is the world and universe that we live in. That was just a side note. We were talking about the roots and branches of faith. So people are like, oh, you religious people, you're all idiots and you believe in an imaginary sky daddy. Someone on Twitter was making fun of me and saying, well, just because I don't know where everything came from, there's no reason for me to believe in a sky daddy. I was like, well, at least you owned up to the fact that you don't know where everything came from. And you've understood that it is a cogent question. Where did everything come from? How is it so magnificently ordered? And how is it being managed? So, at the same time, in terms of faith, it's not blind at all. The roots of religion are the three beliefs that I enumerated in an earlier video, my dear viewer. Belief in God, belief that He sent messengers, and belief in the next world. These three beliefs have to be corroborated using a process of intellectual rationale and reasoning. So you're not simply, once again, allowed to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azza wa jal just based on reading the Quran, talking to your friends, or your parents told you, or any such thing. You have to arrive at the certainty of the existence of an omnipotent, omnipresent, etc., ad infinitum creator on your own, using your own mind power. And of course there's plenty of proofs and rationales behind it, and of course there's plenty of people who don't accept those proofs. The basic proof is that there has to be an uncaused cause. Okay? So the universe, Big Bang, what, 4 billion years ago to 10, 15 billion years ago, depending on who you're listening to. Are you going to tell me it just suddenly appeared out of nowhere for no reason? Well, that's unscientific, because everything has a cause, right? But at the same time, what people come back with is, well, if God caused the universe, then what caused God? Well, they're missing the whole point of the argument. Either they don't understand it, or they're being willfully negligent. There had to be an uncaused cause. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azza wa jal is called wajib al-wujud. Wajib means necessary. Wujud means being or extant. There had to be something that was always just there. And that is not the universe. The universe, you can't say that the universe has just been there forever and there's no explanation for it. As for the branches and the roots of religion, the paradigm is something like this. You believe first in God, you believe in that He sent messengers, and then you believe in the hereafter. These three things you need to corroborate by yourself. Belief in God, I have a whole series of talks on, and it's not very hard. It's simply three questions. Where did everything come from? Why is it ordered and / amazing? And B, how's it being managed? You see, if something's ordered, it means it didn't happen by accident. So this tree exhibits order.
That's a good question. Grouse grind, I think it means grouse grind.
You guys all right? Samir, we're going to make it or what, buddy? Yeah. Okay, good. That's all I needed to hear. The second question is one of messengers. So, according to Islam, you have to arrive at the fact that A, there is a God, and that B, He sent or sends messengers. Now, you have to ask yourself, what is the rationale behind that? Well, our seventh Imam, peace be upon him, the great grandson of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, he provided the rationale for why it is that God sends prophets. Okay, the rationale is as follows. If we accept that there is a God and that He does everything for a purpose, yet at the same time we know that He doesn't address and speak to each one of us individually, so that a discussion can take place, so that Allah might say, well, I created you for this. And then the person might say, well, what do you mean by that? Then Allah explains something, and there's a back and forth reasoning process that takes place. Because that is absent in creation, it necessitates the existence of the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azza wa jal. And what it means is that they simply exist to, if you believe in all of this, that is. I might as well throw that caveat in there. I'm getting people giving me weird looks. The reason, the reasoning is how I'm explaining to you. Whether or not you choose to, like I'm a Muslim, I believe it, and I'm explaining it to you. However, if you don't accept any of this, that's up to you. But once again, if there's an all-purposeful God, and He doesn't explain His purpose to each one of us individually, then it necessitates the existence of messengers, either angels or people who explain His purpose to us. First of all, He's far too exalted and sublime to, I mean, it's not that He doesn't want to come and spend time with each one of us, but He's just beyond comprehension, quite frankly, right? And at this point, atheist persons rolling their eyes saying, well, this is just the usual nonsense, drivel, platitudes and poetic stuff and it's just all garbage. Hey, listen, the Quran says that all of the prophets of the olden days, they were all called madmen, they were called soothsayers, they were called possessed by demons, they were called poets. You know, they basically were taken to task by their people. So these kinds of concepts, as simple as they are, have not been the easiest to communicate to the masses. Don't think that people are stupid, even in the bygone eras of ancient Greece and all this kind of rubbish. You suppose that if someone starts announcing to the general public that, hey folks, I'm a prophet of God, you think no one's going to ask them questions or ask for miracles or proof? You think people during the time of Athens and Rome and the Byzantine Empire, you don't think those people had any damn brains? You know what? The Quran says, look at the past people. They had more accomplishments than you did, even. We're so basically caught up with our technology and our so-called accomplishments that we forget that individually we don't accomplish much nowadays, right? Individually. As a society, we have accomplished and we do accomplish amazing things. But what have you done today that's amazing? Did you invent anything like the telescope? People in the olden days, they had to work just to stay alive. They had to really apply themselves. They had to use their mind. They lived like out here in nature with animals. Animals, a lot of people say, well, animals are stressed out. They're always under pressure. They're always under constant duress. You know what? That's the definition, according to Imam Ali, peace be upon him, of a believer. A believer is always in a state of just not anxiety, but he's always on alpha alert. He's always essentially, his senses are honed and he's living like in a predatory fashion because he's being preyed upon by the ultimate predator, which is his death. One day death's going to come and tap you on the shoulder, says Don Juan to Carlos Castaneda, and this whole world of yours, poof, it's going to be over. And whatever you're thinking right now and whatever you're wrapped up in your little petty thoughts, all of that you got to understand is in the big picture meaningless. In any case, I think I will wrap it up for now. I'll talk about the Day of Judgment in upcoming videos. Day of Judgment, I'll be honest with you, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't arrived on rational proofs for the Day of Judgment. Now, I know it exists in my heart, but at the same time, I haven't reached rational proofs for that yet. So, I doubt anyone listening to this has anything to say about that. I mean, there's things like this, for instance, that you feel a permanence inside of you. The thing you call me, you feel it has no beginning and no end, right? In a sense. Like you were always in God's mind's eye. God's eye's mind or whatever, right? So in that sense, you've always existed. But at the same time, you know that your body's changing and your body's going to die. But at the same time, the thing that I call me is not these fingernails and the skin and all this kind of stuff. All of this stuff is changing. Every 6 months, every atom in your whole body changes. Like, there's this line from the movie I Love Huckabees, dear viewer. And the fellow says, Dustin Hoffman's character is this whacked out professor, essentially. That's the closest approximation to what you'd call, what his character, what he is basically a psychic investigator, whatever the hell that is, something like that. But he's the closest approximation to the layperson would be a whacked out professor. And he's trying to convince Mark Wahlberg's character or Jason Schwartzman's character, two upstanding citizens and outstanding actors, obviously. But he's trying to convince them of his philosophy of life, along with his wife, who's played by this really eminent lady. I forget her name, or perhaps I never knew. And then they have this nemesis psychic detective who has an opposing philosophy. The opposing philosophy is that it's all meaningless. Like, life is all meaningless. Dustin Hoffman and his wife, they hold that everything has meaning and everything has purpose. Like me standing here and this guy stopping and chatting with Pai and Sammy. All of it means something. It's all timing. There's no accidents in the universe. There's no such thing as nothing. There's no such thing as infinity. So, in any case, Dustin Hoffman says, and it's just a funny line, it kind of digresses from what I was talking about, but he says, he's like, don't you realize there's not an atom in your body that wasn't forged in the furnace of the sun? I put that on one of my videos, and one of these guys actually took offense to that, or he said that's rubbish and it's not true. Like, who is he to say? How does he know? Because the sun, you see, the thing is, Allah says in the Quran, don't the so-called unbelievers, loaded term by the way, loaded term alert, don't the so-called unbelievers see that, you know, inna samawati wal arda kanata wahida wa fataqnahuma, something like that, that the heaven and the earth were one and we separated them. So basically, all the matter in the universe came from one place, and it just, so there was basically in the beginning, there was this thing called a singularity, dear viewer. So, for some reason, all the matter in the universe exploded into being. So, at one point, you had something that was, they say it was infinitesimally small. It doesn't make any sense, and infinitesimally dense, right? And all the particle and particulate matter of the universe is packed into this one little thing, and it just blows out into pieces everywhere. So all of the galaxies and all of the stars and all of the different worlds that inhabit our universe essentially came out of one thing, which was called a singularity. Now, our sun essentially spun off all the planets. Our sun was a particle, and it spun off. So, of course, it stands to reason that we came from the earth, and the earth came from the sun, therefore we came from the sun, right? In any case, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm babbling like a madman here. There's a beautiful, buxom beauty coming up the trail behind me, and she's probably going to think I'm a bozo. So I'm going to let it go, yo, and say hello to the wife. Bro, leave me some comments if you're interested. And if you really want to make my day, click on an ad so I can get paid, yo. See ya.